Hey guys, it's Jo. Welcome back to Trauma Talk. You may have seen on my Facebook or Instagram recently that I got my first sort of real threat that was beyond the normal amount of trolling of, you're ugly or stupid or dumb or whatever. And first off, thank you so much for the incredible support. You guys were truly way above and beyond amazing and so supportive to me. And that means more to me than I can tell you, so thank you. And secondly, I sort of wanted to respond to what was said to me and why I disagree with it and why I said what I said, and sort of reiterate the fact that it's okay to call out our leaders and that doing good things does not somehow negate bad things, because that's a message that is continued in our culture and it causes a lot of damage. So I posted a video about Tony Robbins' comments on the Me Too movement, I think about a month ago now. I'll link that video down below and you can check it out. But all I was essentially saying was that what he said was wrong because I believe it was wrong. He responded very badly. He was physically intimidating to this woman in his audience. He said things that I just think illustrated how much we misunderstand the Me Too movement and how much we misunderstand victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, and how it's really okay to say when something is wrong and how it's not being a victim or gaining attention if you tell your story. That's all I was saying. And I told Tony, not that he's ever going to watch it, but I told Tony basically, you can do better. And I also said in the video that he did apologize, because he did, and thanked him for that and said it was a good thing. And that was the end of it. Now, someone commented on this video that it got real personal real quickly, that I won't cite all of the comments, but the essence of it was he was going to ruin my life, make sure that every potential possible employer knew exactly what kind of person I was, ruin every video I ever put out there. His team was going to take me down and ruin every venture I was ever a part of. I am a monster, which he quoted a couple times, and personally responsible for the rapes of thousands of women because I was telling Tony Robbins he was doing something wrong. So obviously that's a little bit of delusional thinking and the logic doesn't match up. And there was a lot more that went on in that comment section. But essentially the root of it was, how dare I tell Tony Robbins he said anything wrong? Do I have any idea how much good he's done? So let me just pause there and say that I am not Tony Robbins' biggest fan. I mean, personally, his style of speech and motivation doesn't work for me, but I think he does incredible good for a lot of people, and I fully support that. If that works for you, awesome. Sincerely awesome. That's great. But it's okay to call out people when they do something wrong, even if they do a lot of good. And we have to be okay with that. When we're not, really bad things happen. And kind of taking this over to the abuse spectrum, we see this all the time. We see abusers and attackers pardoned constantly by their communities and families and even by court systems because of the good things that they have done, because they're good people and just made a mistake, which is BS. And I'm not saying that Tony Robbins is a rapist or an abuser. He just said something that was wrong, and I was pointing it out and saying, hey, you can do better. You are a hero to people, you are a leader in our society, and you said something wrong, and you should apologize, and you did, so thank you, the end. But this person could not tolerate the idea that I had called him out, and was essentially saying that I was leading to his demise by saying anything wrong, and that I was a selfish person for speaking out about it, and blah, blah, blah. I just went on for a really long time. So I just wanted to reiterate the fact that just because someone does good things doesn't mean that they can also do bad things. And just because someone does good things doesn't mean we cannot call them out for the bad things that they do or the things that they stumble in. And in fact, I think it should be expected, especially of leadership, especially of our heroes. I am not a leader or anything like that, but if I do something wrong, if I say something wrong, if I go astray, tell me, please correct me. I am learning, I am growing like all of us are, and I fully expect that at some point I will probably make a mistake. That's what happens when you speak. That's what happens when you put yourself out there. Hopefully it's not a mistake that hurts people. If it ever is, I will sincerely apologize and tell me if I do something wrong. Because that's how we grow. That's how we get better. Tony Robbins made a mistake. That's okay, but he needs to recognize it like he did, apologize like he did, and do better like I hope he will. And so if we function in this mindset of, black and white, either people are all good and we cannot question them, or people are all bad and they're going to burn in hell, like neither one is good, because the reality is that people are people and the truth is somewhere in between. And that's really uncomfortable. And I know that's uncomfortable. I know that it's hard to exist in a world where things are not black and white. I know for a really long time, I wasn't okay with that, especially when it came to bad people. Like it blew my mind that people who had committed such atrocities could also be kind, could also be generous, could also legitimately care about people in some cases. It's just such a paradox that is difficult to wrap our minds around. But it needs to be okay to question people. It needs to be okay to question especially heroes and leaders and people in positions of authority. Because, man, if we don't do that, the consequences get big really quickly. It speaks to a great deal of insecurity if your belief in something cannot be questioned, whether that's a religion or a person or whatever that is. If someone asks questions and it rocks you and it makes you turn to threatening them, that speaks to such a deep level of insecurity that it's concerning. It makes me sad for you. I know that I've been in that place years ago when I had such a, I don't want to say strong faith because it wasn't strong, but when my faith was like my entire world, if people questioned certain aspects of it, like I couldn't take it. And it wasn't until I realized that I needed to ask questions of God and faith that whatever faith I had actually started to strengthen and actually started to grow. We need to ask questions to grow. We need to ask questions and test things and see where weaknesses are in ourselves and in those that we follow, to see if they're worth following, to see what is really worth giving ourselves to and worth listening to and worth following, and that includes people and that includes everything. When leadership goes unchecked, it can twist itself into something really ugly. It's like that quote from, I think, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So if power is used wrongly, if responsibility is not used in the right way, it should be apologized for, and that's okay. I know it's uncomfortable when our heroes fall. I know it's uncomfortable when leaders make mistakes because we like to think that they're perfect. It's like when we grow up and we realize that our parents were not perfect people if we had, good parents. But it's reality. And I think if we want to grow and move forward and, evolve in our own lives and heal, working to a place where we can accept reality is important in bits and pieces, and as much as we can handle. The process takes a while, like I've talked about before, but it is okay to call people out. It is okay to call out leaders. It's okay to say when something's wrong, no matter who it is to. You have that right. You don't have to stay silent just because someone is someone that people respect, just because someone is in a position of power or authority. So many people just stay quiet and assume someone is right because they're so-and-so, when the reality is everyone is just a person. No matter how big you get, you're still just a person. People make mistakes, and no amount of good erases a severely bad act. And bad people also do good things, and both things are really hard to wrap our minds around. I would really love to hear your thoughts and comments on this idea, sort of the idea of calling out people who are in positions of power, and the idea that people who do bad things also do good things, and people who do really good things also sometimes do not great things. Leave your comments in the comment section below, and I look forward to talking to you there. Thank you guys for listening, and again, for your incredible support. Really, that means more to me than I can tell you. I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that, because as much as I didn't want it to, that guy's comments sort of got to me because they crossed over into my personal life, and that's kind of weird. So thank you. I really appreciate all your support. You all made me feel so much better and are amazing. I am Jo Beckwith, and this is Trauma Talk. Thank you for listening. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. So make sure you hit subscribe before you leave so that you don't miss it, or like if you're on Facebook, and I will see you in the next one. Please take care of yourselves until then.